Question 5. How did you attract or address your audience?
The stereotypical audience for the horror thriller genre is younger people, typically aged between 15 to 30 years, and our target audience being 16 to 20.
Yeah, the younger people are attracted to the excitement and suspense of the horror thriller genre more often than the older generation.
And I think this is because the older generation are matured and they've got a lot more life experience, and they'd be more inclined to watch, say, political thrillers or crime thrillers, just to name a few.
Yeah, this is unlike the younger audience, or the generation, right? Who would be more inclined to watch horror, thriller, action, or action thriller.
Yeah, they've got more.
Like we are.
Yeah, they've got
I wouldn't
more
watch
content,
political.
Yeah, I know.
The thriller genre is generally associated with the male gender, and this is because the use of the violence in our opening sequence through the mise en scène, and our female's blooded costume that we use.
That's the mise en scène.
Yeah, it's an aspect of the piece. It's an aspect within our piece that will be typically attracted to a male audience rather than a female, and this is because they are not as squeamish when being subjected to graphical visuals or any violence.
Yeah, I agree. And an example of a film that also uses mise en scène to imply violence would be The Negotiator, and it's displayed through the use of firearms and stuff like that, attracting a male audience. And thrillers generally involve action, suspense and enigma, and these elements are understood as being enjoyed by men because they're associated with adrenaline.
Yeah, I agree to that. But thrillers, like The Negotiator, like you mentioned, are therefore less likely to attract the female gender, as it's filled with all of these aspects that you just mentioned.
Yeah, and our film is heavily focused on suspense and enigma, and the suspense being a build-up of the threat of the female character, the enigma revolving around who the characters are, how they're connected, how and why the female character is suggested to be violated, and possibly the question to what's made her such a threatening character.
Yeah, that's true, that's really true. The lack of action in our opening sequence will also appeal to a female audience because it focuses more on the tension and the suspense.
Exactly.
And these qualities are balanced, not overly masculine or feminine, to attract both males and females. In addition, the enigma is a feature that both genders will be attracted to.
Yeah, because anyone of any age, race, ethnicity, ethnicity or gender would be attracted to this.
Yeah, and we will also want to incorporate these aspects into our opening sequence, hoping to attract both of the genders and have a unisex audience.
And how have we attracted the audience?
Yeah.
Well, involving young actors as our characters, camera shots that depict a lively setting of Camden, which is a youth-filled area, and current trends teamed with really creative titles and editing techniques. That makes our opening sequence interesting for a younger audience.
Yeah, and using the young actors will also help our audience to relate to them and be attracted to our film. The young audience would more likely to watch a film with actors in the age range because they are associated with the peer group, which will help them to understand how the characters feel.
Yeah. It's better for them to see their peer group
rather than like old generation being in the film.
Yeah, and so the young actors in our film, they also reflect the youthful content that's captured through the camera, like shots such as close-ups of a row of fashionable shoes.
Or the high-angle shot of that skull top.
Yeah, and also the high-angle long shot of a robot were chosen to use young people's general interest in fashion trends and curiosity of the unusual and out of the ordinary, which kept them engrossed and intrigued.
Yeah, but also that high angle of the robot is also used to intimidate the audience through the angles because it's suggested to have a negative event that is about to happen, and that appearance aren't always way they seem.
Yeah.
We have also displayed fashion in a sequence, obviously, to also interest and attract a young female audience, as they will be more attracted to fashion than the males.
Yeah, and like an example of this is like rom-coms, although we're thriller horror, but rom-coms heavily target a female audience, and films such as Confessions of a Shopaholic.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, and Sex and the City.
Yeah.
We've both seen that.
Both good.
Yeah. They also use fashion as a means to attract the female audience.
Incorporating fashion elements that are trending, although not feminine images, they won't actually alienate, our male audience, because the images we have chosen are not extremely feminine or masculine, and appeal to both genders.
Yeah, and in a close-up camera shot, the mise-en-scène displays a neon sign.
Yeah.
This is to represent the nightlife in our Camden setting.
Yeah, that's
You know,
And the highly feminine colours, the pink
Yeah.
and the purple, accompanied by the female dancing figure on the sign, would attract the female audience via the implication of existing bright,
existing, exciting,
exciting,
Yeah, exciting,
bright
yeah.
nightlife, yeah.
And and however, this would also appeal to the male audience because nightlife is heavily associated with sexuality.
Yeah.
And the dancing girl in the sign highlights this, you know, because men are generally attracted to women. We're thinking of a heterosexual audience.
Yeah. And the clubs and the pubs will show often advertise using young women, attracting both genders. And the nightlife itself is heavily focused on sexuality, as you said, and can be associated with mysterious or sinister activities.
Yeah, and alcohol being a part of this nightlife in our opening sequence.
We used that,
Yeah, it can be associated with the idea that people can be taken advantage of at a moment of vulnerability. The idea of hidden identities, hidden agenda, and drugs or violence are often associated with things happening at night, activities.
Yeah, our female characters' costumes, the costume that the female had, as previously said, has connotations involving suggested violence, which supports this comment.
It's like through the blood. And
and all the ribs. And the prophetic fallacy in the opening sequence is a prime example of dark secrets being suggested, setting the scene for an audience.
And the audience, as they're young, will either know of the dangers regarding nightlife
Because of the weather.
Through the weather, and also just generally, or they'll have experienced it themselves.
Right, yeah.
And therefore they'll be interested in what happens to the male character, because you know he's in a state of vulnerability because of the alcohol, and that's the alcohol is displayed in a long shot of him holding it, but also in a blurred POV shot.
That's true.
Point of view shot in the editing, because the blurring it's distorted.
Makes it seem
like he's wobbling about.
He's drunk,
Yeah.
basically. And this will attract both genders in our audience, as the excitement of knowing something bad will about to happen and the tension rising to it acts as a hook for them. So basically, they will want to keep on watching and want to find out what is going to happen next.
Exactly. And talking about our male character, he's very laddish.
Yeah, I would say really laddish.
He's suggested to be drinking beer in the long two shot of him and our female character, along with the following over the shoulder shot, and we see that he's drinking alcohol. And generally, drinking alcohol, especially beer, is associated with youthful male behaviour.
Yeah, and this is an aspect used in our piece to attract our male audience. Younger age males in our target audience, roughly 16, 18 years old, would more likely look up to our male character because drinking alcohol, especially late at night, is heavily associated with being one of the lads, as you can say.
Yeah.
And being a young adult, male behaviour, especially having fun, messing about, being cool, that kind of stuff.
And there's a Strongbow advert suggests this. The idea that alcohol is instinctively masculine would make a younger audience look up to him. Yeah.
In addition to what you just said, the younger males will appeal to the idea of being late at night, drinking alcohol, and generally rebelling against society, as a male character is suggested to do because he's coming back at night.
Exactly. And similarly aged males to this character in our target audience, like of 18 to 20 years, could relate to him as drinking beer and being out later at night is something that they can understand, as they may also do this.
Yeah, the male character dress scene can reflect
Dress
sense, yeah,
Sense,
can
I know.
reflect back to the 18 or 20 years old
Mm.
socio-economic status,
Yeah.
as by not having large amount of money to spend on fashionable clothing, which
Yeah.
will mean that he doesn't have enough money basically to spend on some clothes that he actually
Like
wants. So, like
brands or
Nike
something like
or
that.
Superdry, which are quite expensive.
Yeah, and the older part of our target audience, like 21 to 25, as expected to have more understanding of alcohol and its exposing effects on people, they'd realise and understand the danger the character could be involved in.
Especially as he's drunk
Exactly.
and wandering the streets at night,
Mm.
as opposed to the youngest age of our target audiences, because they have more life experience.
And this section of our target audience may also reminisce or be reminded of events in their lives associated with late night drunken nights.
And another aspect that could help them relate to our character would be for films such as the In-Betweeners movie,
Yeah.
that have characters that follow a similar stereotype of young British male.
But I think on the whole, our choice of male character can attract a male audience through his characterization, one that they can relate to, be intrigued by or understand regardless of their age.
Yeah, I would agree with that.